This is a asynchronous auto-battler. You play against people's previous runs. And Dungeon Master. Treasures you find from heroes are one rarity higher. I find this one's really hard to use well, so let's try it. To make them work, we have things like Aladdin, who gets a treasure on silver, and so they're a hero. Link is one of the strongest heroes in the game at the moment, so that's great. Other than that, we got Mecha Man, who's a hero. They're also a toy, so Morticon cares about toys and stuff, so that's maybe something relevant. Sinbad is when they find a treasure, they find an epic one instead of a rare one, which just means like when you gold them. It seems unlikely to work, but we'll try them. Then you have things like I Am Root, who's just a tree. So I don't really need them. Raggedy Ann, who's just a toy. It looks like we're trying. They're pushing us in a toy build. It looks like with Morticon, Mecha Man, Raggedy Ann, Brick Monster. So I guess we'll like lean into that. I think Mirror Mage is pretty cool though, so I'm gonna also take Mirror Mage just for fun. I've also just never been a fan of Guinevere, but she is a hero who rewards you for quests, and Dungeon Master wants us doing quests with our heroes anyway, so it does line up. Let's give it a shot. The deck building aspect of this game is only adding extra cards to your pool of available options. It is not defining all the cards you can find or any cards that you like start with or anything like that. So it's not necessarily going to do exactly what you expect when you first play the game. I'm going to take Aladdin here. Silver cards give you an extra whole shop. And in this case, since Aladdin says when you silver me discover a treasure, we're getting a treasure. It's going to be one the rarity higher, so instead of getting a common, we're getting an uncommon here. And I think that Tiger Paw is probably the best one for the early game here. We're going to make the slot get +4/+4. Slots can have their own little buffs on them, and that allows anything in that slot to get a bonus. As opposed to getting the bonuses on these characters that I'm probably going to replace eventually. Encyclopedia Botanica is also just fantastic, and Hogwarts gives you a lot of flexibility. It makes all your mages animals, all your animals mages, and gives them +2/+2. Which could let us go really into a spell build. The problem is that we're not really geared up for a spell build with our deck currently, so I'm just going to go with Tiger's Paw. Aladdin to gold. So even though they get a treasure when you silver me, they still get a treasure when you gold them, which is how you normally get treasures in the game. So we have a second chance at Speltanica, which sounds really fun. Dwarven card is every 4th treasure you get an uncommon. I think this card is pretty bad most of the time. It's useful if you have something that feeds you cheap treasures. For example, there is a card that, whenever it dies, gives you a pretty bad treasure. It's decent, but it's not like supposed to be good. It's just supposed to give you numbers, and that should trigger Dwarven card and give you some actually good treasures. But yeah, pirates are not usually heroes. Aladdin, of course, is a pirate who is a hero, so there's exceptions to that rule. I'm gonna go with Speltanica. We want to be getting treasures for Treasure Hoard, so going into Treasure Hoard makes a decent amount of sense, and spells buffing that number a little bit higher makes sense to me. Why'd I get another treasure? Because Daughter of Athena went off as well. She had a quest, and we completed it by recruiting heroes. So, when you cast a spell, the next character you recruit is +2/+3. Hogwarts, they're really pushing us in a spell direction. Although we saw with our deck that toys might be relevant. I don't really like leftover pieces. I don't think it's very strong. But, it's got potential. If you get like a barrel of monkeys or something, it could be kind of cool. I think we're going spells though, especially with the Speltanica. So that's either we want to buff up our future recruits, or we want to make it more flexible what is a mage by using this. And I think we're going to go with the Hogwarts. So I haven't really explained much of what's going on. It's not a battler. They're going to be attacking automatically. Something random in the front row, unless the front row is empty, then something random in the back row. Play proceeds left to right, front to back. What do we have? Morticon cares about summons, which we don't have yet, but we will eventually. Pix lets us buff our backline. I think we're going to go with the Twinkle Twinkle. They're pushing us in a spell direction anyway, so why not? That gives us a bonus to the next thing we recruit, and I'm not seeing anything specifically that interesting. None of these are heroes. Let's go with the You Meet in a Tavern. It's one extra spell. We're going to get to recruit something anyway, so it's kind of the same thing, it's just we don't have any choice. Ooh, Pan's Shadow. Not the most interesting use of that recruit bonus, but is a decent card. Might as well throw it on the field. Now they've got Plunder Penny, who's not in our deck, but just a fantastic card. Absolutely love them, and I would be running them in this if I had them. They're not a hero. They're a mage pirate, I think. Yeah, they might be a mage pirate hero, but I don't expect so. Let's see. We could silver something with Silvery Moon. We could also lean more into Hunt and Pirates. Something like Pirate or Captain Ahab. I think I'm just going to go with the generally useful support bonus. Because of Pan's Shadow, our Fey buffs give +1 attack. So this normally would give +0/+5, but now it's giving +1/+5, so that's kind of cute. And we certainly don't want Wormtongue. I don't know why it's in the default deck, to be honest. It forces your next shot to be only villains, and we're looking for heroes as per our captain's ability. So kind of a weird pick. That said, could be interesting going into the rare tier, which I think is next. I'm not entirely sure if rare is next. There should be a good indicator of like when you're going to switch to the next tier would be lovely. I'm just going to go Twinkle Twinkle. I think we have a strong enough board that we can probably win this without needing... Okay, maybe not actually. No, we're losing this. We're losing this very badly. So that's less than great. Yes, we did go into Epic. Or Rare? Rare, sorry. We did move into Rare, so it could have been interesting. I love Boon Willow, but it's really hard to support. You need to have slot bonuses in the back, and we only have slot bonuses in the front. We do have a ton of slot bonuses in the front, though. Wow. I would love to level something up, but unfortunately, the best thing we have is a uncommon, so I might as well just buy a rare in that case. So I think I'm going to go with Anne Bunny. We're being pushed in this direction. Sugarplum Fairy also gives us the option of getting more shop buffs. But Anne Bunny's got a better starting stat line, and we've already got some situations where Hunt matters, and ooh, we're getting another one here. I love Sarmina. They are a animal mage villain. In fact, I think they're normally just an animal villain, but because of that Hogwarts, we have them as a mage. Which, of course, we're looking for heroes, generally speaking, and Fairy Godmother is a hero. Actually, because of Pan, I think Fairy Godmother is the better pick here. Let's go with Fairy Godmother. That's fun. Alright, we're going to move Anne Bunny into the front, because Anne Bunny is just kind of a more relevant card to be giving long-term buffs to. When it hunts, it gets +4/+4, personally. Then again, we could do something like this if we think that 24 is overkill, and Aladdin at 5 is going to do nothing. That's a fair argument. Yeah, let's go with that. Let's go with that. Good. 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 Not too shabby. Take a damage, but that's okay. Goodie Bag is very, very strong. In fact, it would probably be pretty good with all these slot buffs we've been stacking up with the Tiger's Paw. I think I'll take it. It's a weird sort of pivot choice, but I think it's worth it here. This is a 10-7, and this is a 7-4. I guess I'll replace the 7-4. And, ooh, we can start rolling into a couple more silvers. So that's just free value, and because we have Fairy's Godmother, we're actually getting additional value out of the +1 to Fey buffs. And we can do it again. They're not a hero, so we're not getting an additional bonus from our Dungeon Master, but that's okay. It's still a uncommon treasure. And ooh, are we going into more and more spells? Are we going to do more with Fey buffs? Because that will make this even bigger, which is scary. Or do we want the leftover pieces? Because we are thinking of going into Goodie Bag, which is a toy that wants to die. I think we're going to go with the Pixie Dust, though. This seems like such a solid play. I think the Merlin's Hat is the strongest one out of that mix there, if I'm completely honest, but whatever. So Goodie Bag, when it dies, it drops a character and then gives that character bonus stats equal to its stats, which is pretty huge because all stats stay in this game. If you summon something and give it bonus stats, the next time you summon that character or see them in the shop, it will still have those bonus stats. It's really, really weird and really, really cool. So Cheshire Cat is our animals get +6/+6, and if you recall, our mages are animals, so there could be some interesting overlap there. And through the looking glass, transform a character into a random bronze one of your shop's level. Now here's something that's really fun. I'm going to actually hit Aladdin with this because we've invested a decent amount of strength in Aladdin, but they're not really doing anything because they're common. So I'm going to, through the looking glass, them, and that should give us a random epic. Ooh, one with Stinky. Okay, pretty good. And we can, because as I was saying about when summoned, they keep their bonuses. So do transformations. So normally Stinky, as you saw in the shop, was a 0.25, but instead they're at 11.31. Very significant. I think I'm just going to happily ever after, see if we can keep going on with that Stinky bonus. Now, I didn't really talk about Botanica. This is your treasure hoard gets a bonus. Treasure hoard is a mechanic that says I get +1/+1 per treasure you have. We have nothing currently that has treasure hoard, so it's kind of irrelevant. But if we ever do get anything, it would be something to be thinking about. 10 million fireflies is give your Fae bonuses, and because of all of our bonuses between Pixie Dust and Pan's Shadow, this is an even bigger bonus. I think we want to lean into Fae even more. It seems like a good idea. We could either cut Pan's Shadow for it or Anne Bunny. I think Pan's Shadow is done, so we will replace them. Now the thing about this trigger of when you recruit me or another Fae is that you don't have to recruit the Fae to your field. You can throw it into this recycling bin at the top, or the bank as some people call it, and that works just as well. That said, we're only buffing these 2 Fae, so getting more Fae on the field might be relevant. I'm going to continue to play the bonuses. This is a slot bonus to where our goodie bag is. Our goodie bag is at 2828 thanks to our Tiger's Paw. And the thing is that these stats, these bonus stats from the slot, are being transferred onto the actual bag thing that's being dropped on, I believe. If I'm wrong about that, oopsies, I guess, but I'm pretty sure. So Goodie Bag is just kind of carrying us here. We have a very streamlined build. There's not a lot going on here that's clever. It's really just this early game Tiger's Paw paying out. And I guess that's sort of the power of Dungeon Master, if I think about it. Options here, Mix and Matcho can really shore up some really weak unit, but it's kind of a long shot. You don't really know what it's going to hit. Other than that, I would say Long John Silver has this really nice benefit of you can just ditch them and you'll still get all of these turned to silver. So we're going to do that. That means that next time we see any of these, they're going to be gold, which could be very, very relevant. I actually really like Spirit Dragon, and it definitely makes this Encyclopedia Botanica more relevant, which is nice. I don't have anything that is smaller than it other than, say, the Fairy Godmother or the 10 million Fireflies, but I really like my Fairy Godmother and my 10 million Fireflies. Well, 10 million Fireflies hasn't really done anything. Yeah, let's replace them. Why not? I think that's okay. They did their job. When I recruited them, they buffed my Fairy Godmother, who really could use it. She's the smallest thing on the field. And we're going to move the Spirit Dragon to the front because they have Farewell, Give a Thing, Treasure Hoard. What's cool about this is that, again, just like anything else, when you give bonus stats to summon, they stick. So is true with Treasure Hoard. So it's a random character from the entire game pool. The odds of us hitting the same thing more than once is pretty low. However, it's not impossible. In fact, between Goodie Bag and Spirit Dragon, they might end up summoning things that each other have summoned in the past. And that's pretty cool. What do we got? I think we'll take it Over the Rainbow. None of these are very strong, and Over the Rainbow says double the next thing that you recruit's attack and health, which could really do a lot of damage. For example, this 36-36 Kraken. What's especially interesting is that if you recall correctly, Mysterious Egg was in the shop here. Goodie Bag summoned one previously and made it like a 2020, and now it's been doubled up. I guess it wouldn't have been 2020, it would have been a 35, 28. And so that could be really good, except for Mysterious Eggs have to sort of stick around before they do much. Maybe that's fine. It's already a 70-56. It doesn't need to turn into anything. And when it does hatch, if the game goes that long, which maybe it won't, it will become a rarity higher than our shop. Our shop is currently the highest rarity, which means it accesses the secret rare tier. So that sounds really fun to me. The question is it better than what we have? And I think it's better than Anne Bunny, for sure. Really, Fairy Godmother is the weakest link on our board, and I just don't think it's worth getting rid of. It doesn't buff itself as the thing. That's why it's not growing. So we don't care about the egg cracking or anything. Hatching is just a thing that happens after time. So, wait a minute. They have That's so funny. So they've got Mushroom Ring, which is your recruit abilities or farewell abilities. So they had Long John in the front row, and all of their stuff was bronze, but then when it died, they all became silver in the middle of the match. I've never seen that before. That's really funny. Alright, one more turn and the Mysterious Egg will hatch. Normally it is 3 turns. I think it was at 2 turns because when we summoned it, that counted as the first turn, which is really cool. I did not expect that, but fascinating. Bahamut's also pretty big. It's got Treasure Hoard 5, plus however many spells we've cast, which is cool. Sparkles does the same thing as Fairy Godmother, so maybe we want to replace Fairy Godmother. Fairy Godmother is much smaller than Sparkles, and Sparkles has the benefit of hitting itself, not just all others, so it will continue to grow. The difference is that this is 7-3 and this is 9-2, but I think that's worth it. So we'll take that. We will do another Over the Rainbow because it's funny. And this is probably the last match. We will not get to see our Mysterious Egg hatch, unfortunately, unless we lose this or it's a tie. Bap. 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 Okay. That was a pretty clean match. There was a lot of really interesting potential rolling into big, carrying over stats from one creature, one character to another. As they transform and such, but or as they get summoned, as we saw with Mysterious Egg. But it just really didn't come to fruition because we won. It was a turn 12 win very early. Hey! It still shows us what it would have turned into. It would have turned into a doppelganger, which is very funny. Doppelgangers are usually pretty small. Their whole thing is just dying and then cloning what killed them. But giving that to have some starting stats really does help. I find like they're usually kind of one of the weaker secret rares, personally, but they can obviously do some really ridiculous things if you do manage to level them, give them some stats.